大家. I think it's been a while since I've had a video where I was just talking to you like this. 今天我会讲比较个人的一些事情，心理上的事，所以我就想说用英文会比较方便讲，去表达我的想法，但是我下面会有字幕。As you can tell by the title of this video, I am taking a break from YouTube and just from doing business as usual for at least the next month. Why did I come to this decision? 为什么我决定休息1个月？Well, it also has to do with the reason why I don't usually talk to the camera like this, because I'm usually doing my podcast 美乐蒂家庭 with my parents, right? 所以平常我都是在跟我父母亲对话，然后不是直接跟你们这样子讲话。那也就是这个 podcast 美乐蒂家庭 podcast， 我知道很多人很喜欢，然后也是我频道一个主要的节目，变成我好像中英文都有在讲，这就是我比较习惯的，就是中英文穿插。或许我就尽量用中文讲。反正呢，我做的这个美乐蒂 podcast 已经做了将近5年吧。我是2020年从美国搬回到台湾，应该是说第一次正式搬来台湾住，因为我是在美国出生长大的。但是我2020年就有感动，就搬回台湾来。然后那个时候爸爸妈妈已经住在这里了，所以我就跟着他们住在一起，那当然就会一起产生一些节目啊，很自然的一件事情。然后就发现大家好像很喜欢，所以刚开始就是可能10到15分钟的这种影片，跟爸爸妈妈一些对话啊，好玩的一些节目。然后后来呢，特别是2022年之后，2023年我才开始把它转成像 podcast style， 就是可能有45到50分钟，甚至1个小时多的这种 long form video content， 很长的这样子的一个对话。因为我自己其实是很喜欢听 podcast 的一个人，我也听很多美国的一些 podcast， 有的时候他们可能甚至到2个3个小时的这种 podcast。所以我就想说，那美乐蒂家庭就变成一个 podcast， 这样去做，然后每一集我都会剪好几个短片 reels shorts， 1分钟的这种，所以我就是从那个时候就自己下定这样子的决心，每一个礼拜出新的一集美乐蒂家庭 podcast。And 我真的就是很 consistent, you know, because, you know, when I set a goal for myself, I try to follow through. I'm a very follow through type of a person. 我是很认真的人，这也是优点跟缺点，说实话，因为有时候我就是非常认真去听人家讲的话，但不见得人家讲的话是认真的。OK， 所以这也是常常我跟我爸爸的冲突。But anyway， 讲回来，就是我就很认真做这个美乐蒂家庭 podcast， 然后每一个礼拜都有40-50分钟的一集，然后每一集也都产生很多的短片，甚至可能到12个以上的短片都有，每一个礼拜。And 当然这样子的制作要花很多剪辑的时间 editing， and I am not a big fan of editing. I don't consider myself a video editor, okay? I feel like my main trade is music. I'm a musician. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a creative. And editing, 当然我知道很多人会看待剪辑是一个很有创意的一个工作，但对我来讲，剪辑不是我最能发挥我创意的一个工具。Okay, because I kind of still consider myself an amateur editor, even though I've been doing this for so many years. 然后你知道每一个礼拜大部分的时间都花在 editing 上面， like 80% I would say of my time is spent editing this podcast. And it's really just not the most creatively fulfilling thing for me. I feel like the more fulfilling things for me in my life are the things that have to do with actually creating something like the conversation. 我觉得跟爸爸妈妈那些对话 is good. Like I feel like those are fun, but the editing that follows not so fun. And then composing or collaborating, like all of these things are fulfilling to me. 但是如果我 you know 80%时间都是在做我觉得不是很 fulfilling 的事情，我觉得很快就是会疲倦啦。Yeah, and so I feel like that's what happened to me. The thing is, 我自从开始美乐蒂家庭 podcast， 我就每一个礼拜都有新一集嘛。那当然，大家可能还记得，我就去了东京1年，所以我那1年其实是有停止 I took a break from that。但是我 take a break 的原因不是因为我 burnt out。At the time， 我决定休息1年，是因为我那时候是去日本宣教的，然后我就加入了 Awakening Asia 这个教会，然后他们每一个礼拜都会上街头去布道，然后我也就100%参与在其中，所以我觉得那1年就是在日本当宣教士，我就没有想要做我的 YouTube 的频道，所以我就放下来。我觉得那个对我来讲是一个放下的动作。但是我离开日本之后，这过去1年我又恢复了嘛，我又恢复做这些影片，然后又是每个礼拜1集，然后又是花很多时间剪辑，然后就没有那么多时间在创作。我觉得这一次休息真的是 burn out， 不是只是一个放下来的一个动作，是已经失去了做这件事情意义的感觉，好像。其实我真的还是要感谢大家啦，因为我们常常会遇到其中观众的几个朋友们，不管是在我们去服侍的教会啊，或者甚至在路上啊，碰到你们的时候，都常常会被鼓励哦，我们好喜欢美乐蒂家庭，你们做的影片真棒，请不要放弃，不要放弃。我常常听到很多人都会说不要放弃，我不知道为什么他们会特别想要鼓励我不要放弃。或许他们就是有感觉到我很想放弃，但是我必须诚实的说，虽然不是放弃，但是honestly, I'm not really sure why I'm getting a little emotional. I think it's because I always have a very strong sense of responsibility. 很不希望让大家感觉到失望，不管是你们呢，或者是我很在乎的人，甚至是不想让我自己失望。所以我常常会有一个很强的一个责任感 and I think that's why I'm feeling a little emotional because taking this break for me is kind of you know, because I know I'm doing it for myself, right? Yeah. So I guess I'm taking this break for myself. 很希望在这30天，能够找回我自己吧，能够找回我对生命的热情。 it's kind of funny because I know that everyone likes to see me cry in my videos. Like those videos always do well. So wouldn't it be funny if the last video that I ever upload, or that I uploaded a while, gets more views than all my other videos? But anyway, that's not the point of this. I am taking a break and I won't be posting any new videos for a while. Yeah, and I think maybe it's worth mentioning, maybe not worth mentioning, but another reason why I want to take this break is because recently the metrics just haven't been looking so good. And I think this is also one of the reasons why people encourage me, don't give up, because they're a little aware that the metrics are not so good. For example, the views are just kind of disappointing, to be honest. And besides the views, like the income that I receive from Google, from YouTube, has also been a little disappointing, you know, for all the time that I feel like I spend making these videos and the time and effort that I've invested in this program, in this channel over the years. My income has not increased, in fact, it's decreased. 那当然不是要为了钱做这些事情，但是如果是希望有一个长久的计划 you know, sustainability, then I think还是要想想看吧 you know, like what is a sustainable thing to do. And so I've been trying to explore and experiment with other things. I think I just want to take a little break and like actually ask myself, do I even want to do all this online stuff? Yeah, I think maybe spending this next month to try to learn a little from my life and the things that have happened in the past, try to get to know myself again. What do I want? That is always the question. Interestingly enough, 很特别的事情是礼拜天我离开台北之前，我那天早上有跟万利豪牧师 The Hope 的主任牧师聊到话 and 他就送了我他写的这本书，你可以找自己聊聊。然后我就觉得很特别，因为应该他也就有想到，因为我就有跟他说我要上山的这件事情，然后他就送了我这本书，因为我读了我才知道，原来他也是上了山，一个人这样子独处的时间，寻求神祷告的时间，下来才写了这本书，所以这本书也是这样子的一个过程之后写出来，我就觉得很特别，刚好好像也是我现在经历这样子的一个过程，然后就觉得很特别，也就是在前面的推篇里面，万利豪牧师好像就跟他的朋友说，他要上山的原因不是为了祷告，因为在哪都可以祷告找神，此行是为了更了解自己，跟自己聊聊。我觉得也很特别，就是常常我会觉得需要花很多时间去祷告，要上山去独处，去祷告，当然是很好的一件事情，因为有的时候日常生活实在太忙碌或者太杂太吵，然后没办法好好安静下来去聆听神。但另外一个也是我们很少会花时间去了解我们自己，去跟自己聊聊。因为神无处不在 you know, He's everywhere, God is everywhere. But so are we. We're actually with us all of the time. 但是却是常常忽略我们自己，忽略神的，也忽略了我们自己，我们的内心。所以我觉得他写的蛮有趣的，就是不是只是要为了祷告，而是要更了解自己。然后他就有说，他上山之前也就给了自己一些题目要去好好想想，他这里就有写6、7个，就是可以去想曾有过的失败、人生的懊悔、 未来的梦想与期望，我扮演的角色，感恩的是长久以来 ，what is that word? I don't even know that word. 长久以来的一些阴暗的事情 ，the things that have been hidden in the dark for a very long time, and also mistakes that I've made in the past, and 反正万里好牧师他自己就花一点时间去想这每一件事情，然后我觉得，或许很值得 ，like it's worth taking that time now for myself because the reality is, I'm turning 35 this year in about 40 days, and I don't think the reality is anything to be embarrassed about or ashamed about. Whether I like it or not, I'm turning 35 years old. I also don't think I look my age. Definitely, I think it is a good thing to stop and take stock and ask myself these questions. Yeah, what have I learned in the last 35 years of my life? What were some of my failures? What were some of my mistakes? Do I have any regrets? And I think I have to remind myself that, you know what? It is okay to admit that you may have some regrets. Even some things that, those things that we sometimes keep trying to make excuses for, like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Oh, it was good. I learned this lesson. I learned that lesson. But still, like, it's okay to admit that you made a mistake. It's okay to admit that you have some regrets. Yeah. Anyway, this video is getting a little long. But yeah, I also just want to mention that Pastor Peter actually wrote a note for me in his book, which I really appreciate. To Melody, there is already a voice speaking in you. Tune in. Peter 1. Yeah, so I am tuning in. That's my goal. My goal is to tune in. I think he's right. Sometimes we're just like, God, speak to me. 神啊，对我说话，神啊，对我说话，不要隐瞒你的旨意。And then 事实上他一直在跟我们说话，只是我们没有在听，或者我们听不到。我们的 frequency 不对。So I am super grateful that I get to take this month off. 谢谢我妈妈，因为是她提的建议。那天其实就是几天前，我就有一点崩溃，所以我跟大家分享的事情，我就因为这件事情就有点崩溃，然后就跟我爸爸妈妈在聊的时候，是我妈妈提出来的。她说：“我有感动，你要不要就休息1个月的时间？”她一讲完，我就大哭出来，我好像就突然觉得好像有一个锁被解开，好像 I don't know， 就是好像就有一个 permission to kind of escape, I don't know, let go of that pressure. 所以谢谢妈妈，谢谢爸爸，你们的支持让我可以先休息1个月，不去做这些事情。谢谢大家，你们的支持，看我的影片，即使有时候一些影片你们没有看到，但你们还是很愿意支持。可能没有看到的原因，也就是 YouTube algorithm。然后我有些朋友也是安慰我，因为 a lot of creators have been going through the same thing because of the algorithm, this algorithm, that, and that's probably a reason. Also, maybe my videos could be better. I don't know. I could be more passionate about what I do. I'm sure that would make it better too. 谢谢你们。如果你们愿意订阅、按赞、留言、分享，因为我应该不会永远离开的。给我一点时间，先去好好休息、养望，准备好自己 为了下一个阶段。但是我不会放弃，你们也不要放弃，你们可以继续订阅这个频道，然后我们再看下一个章节会长什么样子呀。谢谢大家，祝福你们，拜。